I serve the Department of Housing and Residential Education at UNC as an undergraduate residential advisor. This organization is responsible for taking care of students living on campus and providing them with a safe and supportive campus community. Being an RA within DHRE is more than a job and is more than a lifestyle. It's going to sleep, waking up, eating, studying, socializing, and working, then repeating, all in your workplace. There's no such thing as off-duty. Your residents depend on you to have the answers and to set the standard of living throughout your hall. It's a position that demands responsibility and that you always have a really good plan of action. Up to 3 weeks before classes start, RAs return to campus for training that both prepares us to be effective RAs and inducts us into the culture of the organization. To sum up the highly liberal nature of housing culture, I focus on 3 ideas: inclusivity, intentionality, and mentorship. Inclusivity is the process by which people actively engage in thinking through language and action choices to ensure that they are choosing accurate and non-offensive language and actions. In housing, we have lots of mottos, and the first one is teamwork makes the dream work. One example of inclusivity is if I were having a cookout and I have friends who I know are vegetarian, I should offer them the option of having veggie burgers to ensure that all of my friends are included. Likewise, being inclusive means that I avoid using words such as retarded, gay, or rape outside of their defined usage. None of us are perfect, but on staff, we make a commitment to improving our awareness of different cultures and situations, which in turn improves our ability to be inclusive of all groups. Evidence of the inclusivity culture is sprinkled throughout legal and informative documents, including the Statement of Community Living Standards, which every student agrees to follow when signing on for campus housing. This document states, "The university's policy prohibits harassment or discrimination on the basis of race, color, gender, national origin, age, religion, creed, genetic information, disability, veteran status, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression." If this list sounds extensive, that's because it is. In housing, staff members are trained to think through their language and actions, and to make a conscious effort to ensure that what they say is actually what they mean, and in turn to pass that knowledge and awareness on to students. And the way we do this is through intentional actions. We have lots of mottos, and one of the other forerunners is intent versus impact, which reminds us that the impact of an action is infinitely more important than the intent of the action. Finally, mentorship, which also comes with its own model. Seek first to understand and then to be understood. Our job description lists mentorship as one of the key aspects to being a successful RA, and being a good mentor and a good friend in general means that sometimes you need to step back and ensure that you understand completely before seeking to give an opinion or asking advice. Part of our job description says, the RA works to create and maintain a healthy environment for the academic and personal growth of the students within their assigned living units. And this culture generally works well for RAs, as we try to keep our residents safe, happy, and succeeding. For example, 3 weeks ago, I noticed that my residents were getting a little hostile about the state of the bathroom. Some wanted the window open to keep the bathroom from getting too steamy, others complained that it was too cold. Some girls don't bother to pick their hair up from the drains of our communal showers, and other girls are meticulous with their hygiene and cleanliness and can barely stand the idea of communal showers to begin with, much less hairy drained communal showers. The bathroom was a constant source of hostility on the hall and made instant enemies of near strangers. They wrote messages and taped them up in the bathroom, intending to solve these problems, and not quite understand that the impact of these notes served to anger the other residents even further. When I started catching on to this, I realized that my girls didn't know the best way to communicate with each other and to solve this problem. So, tomorrow night, instead of having our typical bi-monthly hangout session, where we usually sit around, eat some donuts, and chat about insignificant things, I have invited a behavior specialist to come and lead a discussion with the girls about the best way to confront awkward situations. The RA culture is to identify problems, understand why they're occurring and who's involved, and to take intentional action to change it. However, sometimes hyper-inclusivity begins to feel like a scene cut from Lewis Lowry's dystopian novel, The Giver, where everyone practices the act of sameness and emotion is largely removed. Among staff members, we have a culture of open communication, where each of us feels comfortable questioning other staff members about language choices and inclusive programs. These conversations generally result in increased awareness from both parties. However, when we try to have these conversations with residents and others outside of housing, we have to be very careful to keep the tone conversational and never directly questioning, because people hate to feel like they're being scolded. Sometimes, even when trying to be conversational, these discussions hit my residents the wrong way, and they tend to roll their eyes and laugh. But from this, the more experienced or just more intuitive RAs have learned to limit the inclusivity speak, and for lack of a better saying, choose our battles. In all honesty, I can't stop inappropriate language use, and if I tried, my residents would surely laugh at me and snuff any chance I had to make a difference with them. In this sense, the ideal of inclusivity that housing employees endorse so heavily usually doesn't directly resonate with residents. Our organizational culture assists us in being an approachable and aware body of student mentors, and sometimes it's hard for us to gauge the best approach to any situation. Sometimes we fail, but usually our intentionality and inclusivity help students to feel more at ease and included in their campus community.